안녕하세요. 스위스 청년 태준입니다.
멜라니. It's quite similar to Korea, the Swiss system. The different points is, I would say, already in secondary school, you have to decide kind of your path you're gonna take, because not everyone's gonna go to university, or not everyone's gonna do the same job. So already in secondary school, depending on your grades, you can enter a different school on the 고등학교 level. And when you enter 고등학교 level, then you have three different paths. You have the very similar path to the Korean one, which is gymnasium. It's kind of like high school. So you learn general stuff to later on enter university if you want to. And then you have the second thing, which is apprenticeship. And there you really learn already a certain vocation, and you get to know how to work, for example, as a cook, but you also go to school. Like half of the week you learn the job, and half of the week you go to school. And then the third possibility is you're already specialized in something. So for example, IT or health or economy and so on. And then you also learn general stuff, but you also specialize at the same time. I would say it really depends, especially on what you have studied, and also depends on how much working place there is. But usually you end up having a good reputation doing apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's also the difference between Swiss German part and the French speaking part. Swiss German part kind of really values apprenticeship, rather I would say it's not as well seen in the French part and French speaking part. And I mean, I have some friends who, for example, started working in the watch companies, so Rolex and so on. And I mean, they have really good position right now, although they did apprenticeship. And I mean, they've been working now for 6 years and they got good salaries, whereas I am still studying, never got my salary. And yeah, I mean, they're already adults. I feel like I'm still a child. It really depends on the job you're going to choose. So for example, an apprentice can, end up doing, becoming a chef. And this chef may be, for example, at the beginning you have a like low position, but with time, your salary is going to go up. So you can end up, working in a really good restaurant and having a really good salary, right? But it's kind of the same for university. You might start up with doing internships, and that's like low salary, and then you end up also, going higher. So I would say it kind of starts as the same, but perhaps when you, I don't know. It really depends on situations. But I wouldn't say that necessarily if you do apprenticeship, you're going to have lower salary than people who do university.
그러면 꼭 돈을 많이 벌기 위해서 대학교에 갈 필요가 없는 거네.
But then of course you have some jobs like as a doctor, it's like 6-year university studies, and then you have like additional like 5 years or 6 years of training in the hospital. So those people, they have a long process of studying, but then in the end they still end up having a higher salary.
꼭 대학에 가야 되는 거 아니고 부모님도 너 대학 가라 좋은 대학 가야지 공부해야지.
그런 부모님이
있어?
있는데 다 그렇게 안 생각하고. 제 아빠가 일본 사람이어서 대학교 가야지라고 그런 거 생각했는데, 근데 저 엄마도 대학교 졸업해서 대학교 가면 좋을 거 생각했는데, 모르겠네.
그러면은 뭐 집집마다 부모님이 대학교 졸업한 분이면은 그러니까 자기 본인이 경험했던 거니까 자녀들한테 대학 가라 이렇게 추천을 하는 편인 거야?
그럴 것 같은데, 근데 I feel like in general sometimes some people can have an image that apprenticeship isn't something so valuable, and going to university is like the way of success. So I would say some people still have this kind of mindset. Yeah, so you don't necessarily have only university, you also have haute école, Hochschule. And I would say that usually, so the path is if you do gymnasium, so which is the direct path to university, then you don't have to do any exams after gymnasium, you can directly enter university. And if you do apprenticeship or those kind of other vocational schools, you can directly enter Hochschule, haute école. But if you want to do the opposite path, so if someone who did gymnasium wants to enter Hochschule, you have to do a 1-year special thing. And the same for the opposite side. If you want to go to university, you have to do special path. So it's like.
근데 이 두 학교 차이가 뭐야?
So university is very academic studies, very much theory. You listen a lot, you write a lot, but you don't do many things substantially. Whereas Hochschule, haute école, you're actually gonna do more projects. You're gonna work more with hands as well, depending on what you choose. And very often you already work with like with companies in the same domain. So you actually get to know more about the actual job, which also makes it easier for you to get a job afterwards. Whereas haute école, university, often you have to do like internships and get to learn a job first before getting an actual job.
한국에는 대학교 가려면 수능 시험 봐야 되잖아. 그러면 여기도 수능 같은 거 있어?
없어. 요.
그러면은 대학교 어떻게 들어가야 돼?
If you do gymnasium and you pass, you have your diploma, then you have direct access to university.
그러면은 김나지움을 졸업하면은 내가 가고 싶은 대학에 다 갈 수 있는 거야?
다. Yeah. So, for example, you have in Switzerland this university called EPFL and ETHZ.
로잔공대랑 취리대학교지?
Those two are the only national universities. That doesn't mean they're better than the others, but they're national universities. And these ones are like top 10 worldwide. But even I could enter those universities.
아, 그래?
Because I
김나지움 졸업했으니까? 왜 안 갔어?
모르겠어. 학원은 그런 거 없어요, 여기.
학원 없어?
학원 없어. 학교에 가서 학교 끝나면은 그럼 끝나. 공부 끝나. 수업 없어. 좋지.
좋네.
What's special about those universities is you don't really have a rating of this one is better than the other. So there's not really that competition going on of entrance exam of I want to enter this university, not this one, because you actually can.
그러면 여기는 랭킹 같은 게 없으니까 뭐 내가 가고 싶은 대학을 가거나 내가 배우고 싶은 수업이 있는 그런 대학에 간다는 소리네. 맞아?
그리고 집에 가까운
집에
거.
가까운 게 최고지.
근데 in my situation, I had only 2 options because what I wanted to study was international relations, and there was only Geneva and St. Gallen, so both far from house.
한국은 내가 한국 대학교 안 가봐서 모르는데 한 학기에 500만 원인가? 1년에 500만 원인가? 근데 스위스 학비 얼마지?
500 프랑?
500프랑? 500프랑이면은 한국 돈으로 한 60만 원 정도.
네, 대학교마다 달라. My university was from Geneva canton, and the funding was a bit more, so it was only 500 francs. But depending on where you go, so you can go to Neuchâtel, you can go to Lausanne, and that's going to be different. Lucerne and so on, Zurich. But it's all around 500 to 800, I would say. I would say it's quite demanding. You have to study a lot. It's quite common that people have to redo the year or redo exams because you don't pass exams. Yeah, I would say depending also on what you study. So for example, my brother, he went to EPFL, this national university.
노잔공대.
And he studied physics. So pretty much the people who started studying with him on the first year didn't graduate with him.
꼭 모두가 3년 안에 졸업하는 건 아니다.
Most will. Most will study hard and they will still make it. But it's not always the case. 그런 거 있어. Because in all universities there's a lot of association, just like in Korean universities.
동아리?
동아리 그런 거? It's a bit different. Here, you're not gonna have like meeting 동아리.
스타트업?
And you can have MTs then there. Especially you have associations, for example, for exchange students, and they're gonna do a lot of MTs for exchange students.
아, MT가 있다, 스위스도.
있어. 근데 나 그런 거 안 좋아해서 해본 적이 없어. 있어.
있어?
있어.
그래?
근데 I think the Koreans one are much better.
그래?
They like
가수 오고
가수 있고.
막.
이거 너무 좋아. 근데 여기는 they call a DJ and then especially in my university, Geneva, they have that DJ in the main building and they have party.
아,
but,
대학교 안에서?
근데 나 그런 거 엄청 싫어서 나 가본 적이 없어. 한국에서는 you have a women's university, you have men's
맞아요.
university.
여자대학교 있어.
You also have like high school, middle school, elementary school. 근데 그런 거 여기 없어.
아, 중학교, 초등학교도 없어?
없어.
진짜?
하나도 없어.
신기하네. 다음에도 스위스 관련된 컨텐츠로 찾아올 테니까 구독과 좋아요 예이 안녕